picture this. Napoleon Bonaparte, that famous painting, on the white horse, crossing the Alps.
Oh, yeah, the David painting. Iconic.
Right. Or maybe picture him a few years later. He's in Notre Dame, holding the crown, about to put it on his own head, not even waiting for the Pope.
Powerful images.
Exactly. And they're more than just pictures, aren't they? They sort of capture this man whose, sheer ambition and drive just completely reshaped France and really all of Europe.
Absolutely, a pivotal figure.
So that's what this deep dive is all about, Napoleon. His, meteoric rise, how his rule kind of twisted and transformed those revolutionary ideals that got him started.
And the really dramatic end to his whole era. It's quite a story.
It really is.
And to help us navigate this, we've got a good stack of sources for you. We're looking at overviews of the French Revolution, specifically the Age of Napoleon part.
Including historical documents, even Napoleon's own sort of public statements.
Right. But we're also going to lean pretty heavily on Will and Ariel Durant's big series, The Story of Civilization. Specifically, their last volume, The Age of Napoleon.
Yeah, that's a massive work. So our mission today is really to pull out the key takeaways from all this. We want to help you understand not just, what happened, but maybe how history gets written and interpreted too.
And we'll dig into some surprising bits, look at different viewpoints, and keep asking, how did one guy get so powerful?
And what did that actually mean for those big ideas, liberty, equality, that kicked the whole revolution off in the first place?
Let's jump in.
Okay, so Napoleon Bonaparte. Who exactly was this guy? His beginnings were, relatively humble, weren't they? Born in Corsica, 1769.
Yeah, and Corsica had only just become French. It was this fiercely independent island. That definitely gave him a complex identity early on, a bit of an outsider feeling, maybe?
Which I guess could fuel ambition, right? To rise above that.
Could be. And his military education was absolutely crucial. He went to Brienne, then the École Militaire in Paris. He became an artillery officer.
Which wasn't just about firing cannons, was it?
No, not at all. It was really intellectually demanding, lots of maths, strategy. It required serious brain power, which, clearly served him well later on.
And all this is happening against the backdrop of the French Revolution, this volcanic eruption, as one source calls it. Just massive upheaval.
Perfect timing for someone like him, really. Fertile ground for ambition.
And he had some key early wins.
Definitely. His first big break was the Siege of Toulon in 93. His strategy with the artillery fortifications was key to the Republic winning there. Got him noticed.
Okay. And then there's the famous whiff of grape shot, 1795, putting down that uprising in Paris.
Yes, the Vendémiaire uprising. He defended the government, the Directory, and that really cemented his reputation as a defender of the Republic, at least for a while.
So he's this military hero. But how does he make the leap to political leader? That's a big jump.
Well, the Directory itself was, frankly, a mess. It was corrupt, inefficient, really unpopular. People were tired of the instability.
Right, ripe for change.
Exactly. And Napoleon, with his military victories and growing popularity, he saw his chance. He sensed that power vacuum.
So he grabs it. November 1799, the coup d'etat, 18th Brumaire, overthrows the Directory.
And declares himself first consul. Suddenly, he's the most powerful man in France.
Which later gets extended to first consul for life. Wow.
And it's really interesting how he framed that coup publicly. Our sources show him claiming the old constitution was basically broken, half destroyed.
Okay.
He said, all parties came to me, requested my support. But then he insists I refuse to be the man of a party.
Portraying himself as above politics.
Precisely.
Yeah.
A soldier of liberty who was just there to restore conservative, tutelary, and liberal ideas. It was brilliant PR, honestly.
Yeah, positioning himself as the savior, even as he's taking control.
It let him seem like he was preserving the revolution while actually fundamentally changing its direction.
Which brings us to that big question. What did all this mean for those revolutionary ideals? Liberty, equality, property. Did he carry them forward, or did he kill them off? It feels complicated.
Oh, it's incredibly complicated. A real duality. On one hand, you absolutely see him supporting some revolutionary ideals. The Napoleonic Code is the prime example, right? Issued in 1804.
Right, the legal code.
Yeah, a massive undertaking. It modernized French law, made it clear, accessible, standardized across the country. It got rid of feudal privileges, established equality before the law for male citizens anyway, and guaranteed religious freedom.
Its influence was huge, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Spread across Europe and beyond.
Undeniably. And beyond the code, he did other things. Centralized government administration, set up the lycées, those high schools focused on merit, created a new tax system, the Bank of France for stability, improved roads, sewers.
So real practical improvements,
Yeah.
bringing order after the chaos.
Exactly. Reforms that brought tangible progress, which people desperately wanted after years of turmoil.
Okay, so that's one side. But then, December 1804, he declares himself emperor, Emperor Napoleon I, and brings back hereditary rule.
Yep, the ultimate U-turn, you could say.
And you can literally see that shift in the art, can't you? From that, dynamic general crossing the Alps to the super formal, regal painting of him on the imperial throne.
It's a stark contrast, and how did he justify it? He claimed it was the only salvation for France, needed for continuous political life.
So stability over Republican ideals.
Essentially. He even said the French people wanted it, through a free and independent expression, supposedly. He brought back old ceremonies, had the Pope there.
But then famously crowned himself.
Right. A hugely symbolic act, showing everyone where the real power lay. Not with God, not with the Pope, but with him.
So how do you square being a soldier of liberty with becoming an emperor?
You probably can't, really. It shows his personal ambition ultimately trumped those initial revolutionary principles. Republicanism, popular sovereignty, those took a back seat.
It's kind of a chilling template, isn't it? How revolutionary energy can be co-opted for personal power.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
He masterfully shifted the nation's values without completely rejecting the language of the revolution. A dangerous precedent.
And his ambition didn't stop at France's borders. The Napoleonic Wars, 1803 to 1815. He basically conquered most of Europe by 1812.
He was a military genius, no doubt. Battles like Austerlitz, Jena, Auerstedt, huge victories against major powers like Russia, Austria, Prussia.
How did he do it? What was his edge?
His tactics were innovative. He used the corps d'armée system, basically self-contained mini armies, which allowed for incredible speed and flexibility on the battlefield. He consistently outmaneuvered his opponents.
But that constant expansion, it must have stretched his resources thin.
Hugely. And that's what led to his downfall. Overreach and creating enemies everywhere. The Peninsular War in Spain and Portugal starting around 1808 was a massive drain.
The guerrilla warfare one.
Exactly. It just bled France of troops and money, a real quagmire.
But the biggest mistake, surely, that was invading Russia in 1812.
Oh, catastrophic. He took this enormous army, maybe 500,000 men or more, deep into Russia.
And the Russians just retreated.
They did, and they burned everything as they went scorched earth. Crops, supplies, livestock, denying the French army anything to live off.
Brutal.
And then came the Russian winter. It absolutely decimated Napoleon's Grand Army. The retreat from Moscow was horrific. Fewer than 100,000 soldiers made it back.
Devastating. And that must have shattered his image, right? The invincibility.
Completely. It showed he could be beaten and beaten badly. That opened the floodgates.
So the other European powers, Britain, Russia, Prussia, Austria, Spain, Portugal, they saw their chance.
They formed a massive coalition. They finally defeated him decisively at the Battle of Nations near Leipzig in October 1813.
And then marched on Paris.
Occupied Paris in March 1814. Napoleon had no choice but to abdicate.
And they exiled him to Elba, that little island off Italy.
But the story wasn't over yet.
No. The 100 days. He escapes Elba in February 1815. That's incredible.
Just astonishing audacity. He lands in France, rallies another army, marches on Paris again.
It must have thrown Europe into chaos all over again.
Absolutely. But it was a short-lived comeback. His final gamble.
Ended at the Battle of Waterloo, June 18th, 1815.
A final decisive defeat by the coalition forces under Wellington and the Prussian General Blücher.
And this time, exile was for good. St. Helena, that remote island in the middle of the Atlantic.
A very lonely end for a man who had dominated a continent.
So the revolution ends, not with a republic, but with a king back on the throne.
Pretty much. The Congress of Vienna convenes in 1815. The major European powers basically try to turn back the clock.
Redraw the map, restore the old royal family.
Exactly. Put things back more or less to how they were before Napoleon, and establish a balance of power so no single country could dominate like France had.
And Louis VI's relative, Louis VIII, becomes king of France.
Yes, though as a constitutional monarch, not an absolute one like before, some changes stuck.
So looking back, what is Napoleon's legacy? It seems so mixed.
It truly is multifaceted. On the plus side, you have those administrative and legal reforms. The Code Napoleon, the lycées system based on merit. These laid groundwork for modern government and education in many places.
Equality before the law, Centralized administration.
And his military strategies are still studied today. The core system, his emphasis on speed and maneuver.
And maybe unintentionally, his conquest kind of broke down old feudal structures.
That's true. And fueled nationalism across Europe, often in reaction against French rule, helped forge modern nation-states in a way.
But the cost.
Immense. The Napoleonic Wars caused unbelievable destruction and death across Europe. Millions died. Economies were shattered.
So he's this figure of progress and devastation.
Exactly, a real double-edged sword. And we also have to remember he was a master of propaganda, using art, official accounts, to shape his image.
That image that lasted long after he was gone. Okay, so we've worked through this incredibly dense period using historical accounts, Napoleon's own words, but how do you really get a handle on such a vast sweep of history? How do you make it feel, I don't know, human?
That's a great question, and it leads us nicely to Will and Ariel Durant and their huge work, The Story of Civilization.
Right, that 11-volume series, The Age of Napoleon, is the last one.
It is. Published in 1975, the whole series is just massive, 10,000 pages. Their goal, they said, was to unify and humanize history, make it accessible for the common man.
And they were really popular, weren't they? Didn't one volume win a Pulitzer?
Yeah, Rousseau and Revolution won in 1968. People loved their writing style.
What was it about their style?
Readers describe it as clear, engaging, colorful, even witty sometimes. They managed to take these huge, complex subjects and weave them into a coherent story that was just readable.
Despite the sheer volume of information, that's impressive.
Very. Many people see it as this incredible gift, this one-of-a-kind series. Some readers apparently reread the whole thing multiple times.
Wow. Finding new things each time, I guess. Like a journey with the authors.
Exactly. But it's important to add the academic perspective, too. Historians now would point out that, well, the series is old, historical understanding evolves.
So some parts might be outdated or not quite accurate by today's research standards.
Right. And it's definitely got a Western-centric bias. It doesn't cover Eastern civilizations nearly as much, for example.
Okay, so useful caveats. What does that mean for you, the listener, trying to learn about history?
Well, even with those points, many argue the Durant's work is still incredibly valuable. It gives you that grand overview, that big picture. It's like a fantastic starting point, a hub, maybe.
Sparking curiosity to dive deeper into specific areas.
Precisely. It gets you interested, gives you context, and then you can go off and explore things that grab you in more detail using more current scholarship. It's not the final word, but it's an amazing gateway.
I like that. And for some people, it's even become this multi-generational thing, right? Reading their grandparents' copies, adding their own notes.
Yeah, that adds a whole other layer of connection to the past.
So we've covered a lot. Napoleon's rise from Corsica, his impact, his empire, his fall, and even how we learn about figures like him through works like the Durants.
And I think what really stands out is that history isn't just facts and dates, is it? It's this living story full of contradictions.
Like Napoleon himself, embodying revolutionary ideals one minute, betraying them the next.
Exactly. And seeing how even acclaimed historical works, like the Durants, are shaped by their own time. We need to read them critically, but they can still be immensely enriching.
Gives you perspective.
It does. Will Durant himself had a great quote. The past is not dead. Nothing that has ever happened is quite without influence at this moment. The present is merely the past rolled up and concentrated in this second of time.
That's powerful. The past is always with us.
And he made another interesting distinction between what he called the bloody stream of history, the wars, the politics, the conflicts.
Gets most of the attention.
Right. And the banks of the stream, which is the story of civilization itself, people building things, creating art, philosophy, science, family life, the everyday stuff that often gets overlooked.
So maybe a final thought for you to ponder. In today's world, with so many distractions, maybe actively seeking out these big, grand narratives of the past, like Napoleon's era, or the story the Durants tried to tell, maybe engaging with that stream of civilization, even with all its flaws and complexities.
Perhaps that's one way we can better understand and maybe even illuminate our own present moment, something to think about.